Everybody, it's Raina. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing well, and you're all feeling good. And sorry I haven't been on for a while, but I'm just getting over a cold. So if have a hacking fit, sorry. Anyway, I do have some new. My dog just went by. That's seeing me. He's a 110-pound pit bull. He's a cuddle bug. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. And Mandy, I need your birthday. I still have to do your reading. I'm sorry I'm dragging on it a bit, but I haven't been having allergies. Now I have a cold. So, which might be part of the allergies. But anyway, so I've been getting some new information, and I do have still have my new spirit guide, and he's coming a little. It definitely is a new spirit guide. It's masculine and coming across as very aggressive, but I'm starting to get used to him a little more. I don't feel kind of a little bit standoffish on him. I haven't given him a name. He has to give me a name to give him because he didn't like my name. So I have my little candles lit. All right, first I'm going to start off with the case, which has been about, it was last year, I believe it was June 23rd. His name is Daniel Robinson. Robinson is actually my maiden name. Daniel Robinson, he's been missing. I'll just give you a little quick clip of what happened. There's not a whole lot of information. He was 24 years old. He was a geologist. He's a young black man. Very good at his job. Very serious, studious, fun-loving. Had a very close family, especially his father. Um, he worked out of Buckeye, Arizona, as a geologist. The last time he was seen, also he didn't have a right hand. He was born without a right hand, but he got through just fine. He could do anything. Anyway, the last time he was seen was at his work site. It was a couple miles out of Buckeye. I had to look all this up on a map because I don't really know Arizona. I've never been there. But anyway, he was last seen at his job site by his coworker. They had just gotten together for the day. It was just all desert, and there was this little contraption in the ground that they were, I guess, taking samples from. And they'd only been there about 15 minutes, and Daniel got in his Jeep and he said goodbye to the guy. And the guy was like, "What? Where are you going?" And Daniel didn't answer him. But the guy said he was his coworker. I don't even know his name. They never showed his picture. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of information. And Daniel just took off, not into town, but going the other way on the dirt road into the desert. So the coworker thought that was a little weird, but he just kept working. So when Daniel didn't come home that night, and or didn't answer his phone when his father called in the evening because they talk like every day, his father started to get worried, and he called work, and the coworker somehow they found out, and he never checked in, he never went back to work. They couldn't find him. Nobody knew where he was. His phone was turned off. So that was the beginning of the mystery. And his father, contacted the police, obviously, within the time that he was allowed. All family members, all friends, everybody. Um, they couldn't figure out where it was. So this went on, and after a week of searching or whatever, it was desert where Daniel was last seen. So the police did their search, but his father started a search team too. So he got all these people, and who were more than happy to help, and they searched and searched and searched, and they couldn't find it. But a month later, the police found his vehicle, and was in like a kind of a ravine, but it wasn't that deep of a ravine. It was just kind of a big dugout in the ground. It wasn't that steep. It was like he would have had to drive off the road to get into a ravine, and it was on its side, and it was really badly damaged, and it had some red paint on it when the Jeep was gray. And the private detective that his father hired thought that was very strange. The airbags had also deployed, and the private detective said the airbags would not have deployed at such. If they figured, the police and the experts figured out the Jeep was only going 30 miles an hour when it hit, when it flipped and went on its side, and the airbags deployed, which wouldn't have happened if he was going 30 miles an hour when the car hit the other side of the ravine, which you could have walked down there. I mean, it wasn't that steep. So, and they said there was too much damage to the car, and plus Daniel's clothes were piled neatly next to the Jeep. His water bottles were all there, his wallet, his credit cards, everything were all um put his shoes were all neatly piled next to the Jeep. Nothing was missing. His cell phone was turned off. It was like he just walked off in the desert. So his father, since this happened almost a year ago, is still searching. And I looked at the map, and I've tried. I've tried a couple times. I tried last year when the story came out, but I couldn't get anything. But just about within the last month, I think this happened about 2 weeks ago. This story had whatever. I pick cases. Like, I pick cases I feel more connected to, like I could get something. And his case was one that I picked. And maybe because his last name was Robinson, I don't know. So anyway, I was getting ready to go to bed, and I heard the name Danny was said to me. And I don't know what they called him, but they call him Daniel and everything I hear. There's not, like I said, there's not much information. And his father keeps the story going. And anyway, I heard the name Danny very clearly when I'm getting a message. And I figured it was Daniel. It was they were going to tell me something about Daniel. And this all happened within a time span of maybe 10 minutes. And then I was at the bottom of a steep ravine, and I knew it was Daniel. It was like it was very steep, like a V. And I saw boulders and stones, and it was sheer on the side, like from rock, not from like the other one was like dirt and scrubby grass and everything, but it was like sheet, like rock, like maybe water had moved through there at one time and made it smooth. And there were rocks on the bottom, and I saw the mummified remains of a person. And the person was lying among the rocks, and like rocks were on top of him, and he was all twisted up. Like his arm was over there, and his leg was over there. And I realized, and he was mummified, and the silver color was very clear, and I could see his chest, and I could see his rib bones, not his ribs, but his chest bones coming out of the skin. It was completely mummified. It was like no animals had gotten to him or anything like that. He was mummified, and it was silver. Like there was some of the sun was shining on the other side of the wall against him. It was like he had fallen down, and somebody said the word accident, and I noticed how I was thinking, God, if you fell down here, you wouldn't have been able to get out of there because the walls were so, there was like nothing to grab onto. It was all like very sheer. And at the bottom were just boulders and rocks, and I didn't even see any grass. Anyway, so I realized that this was Daniel, and he was deceased. And when I first saw the remains inside, my own voice said to his father, I didn't. It just happened automatically. I said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," because I know his father was still holding out hope, but I said, "I'm so sorry," and I, it was just like it was really weird. And then I I was thinking, and then suddenly I was up top of the where I could see the ravine from being up top, and it was flat. The ground was flat. It was very dirt, a lot of dirt, and it looked like the ravine did came along suddenly, like it didn't come up on a hill or a lot of um, or a mountain or anything like this. It looked like you could just walk along, and if you weren't watching where you were going, it wasn't that wide, you know, like to cross it. If you didn't look where you're, or an animal wouldn't, would obviously go another way because I don't know how wide it was. I mean, how long it was or whatever, but it looked like you could actually, if you were in the dark, you could step right into it without, you know, So anyway, I could see how someone could fall in there and not know it. And I was wondering why they didn't have signs like to say warning, ravine, or something to stop people from if they were out that far. So I realized he must have been out pretty far. And then I think that's all I saw. And it was kind of craggy too. So I could describe, I tried to look on a map, Google Earth, but it didn't say anything like that. I couldn't get that close. I could just get the desert. And I saw a few cracks in the earth. It looked like it might have had water in it at one time. And I still have to turn my information in, and the father said something in an interview one time about he might have gone out there to. He had at one time had a problem, alleged problem with PCP at one point, and maybe he went out there to, get high, and he, lost his bearings. You know, I've never done PCP. I've never been into any hallucinogenics or anything like that, so I don't really know what happens, but Uh, actually, it did LSD one time, way back, and it was. I would never do it again. I was having all kinds of psychic weird things happening, and really weird, like car going up and down, and anyway. So I was thinking if he went out there to get high, and he took off his clothes because he was hot. You wouldn't normally do that, but when you're, his father just mentioned it that there was, a possibility, but he wasn't into that anymore. He said that was a long time ago, and it was okay, but or some he thought maybe he had been carjacked, but I was thinking out in the middle of the desert, and it just nothing made sense. So that's what I saw, and that I am going to turn the information, and I was hoping this was about 5 days ago that I would get something else, but I haven't so far. Um, I have had 3 nights this last week. I have had someone wake me up calling my name, and it's not been like 3 nights in a row. It's been 3 nights, and it just says Rhonda, and I'm like, what? And one time I said, what? And because it kind of sounded like my husband, but then again, it didn't. And I was like, there was nobody there, obviously, and I wondered if it was the spirit, my new spirit guide, or maybe it was Daniel, and he was, he was the one that had shown me this. So he's out there. He's deceased. He's in, according to my spirit guides, he's in a ravine in the desert, a very sharp ravine that goes down. There was no way. I believe that he fell, and on his way down, he broke bones, or when he hit the other rock. So there was a huge boulder like under his head. When he broke bones, and he was completely twisted up. I don't believe any animals got to him, or vultures, because the ravine was pretty high. It was like the size of a telephone pole to the top to the bottom. No animals would have gone down there, even birds, because they would have been trapped. Something could have come along and snatched them, because it was that deep. And I think he probably died instantly. I don't believe he suffered. Um, so anyway, that's my story, and I am gonna call it in. I want to call it. I don't want to just email it in. So I know what it looks like, and let me see what else was there. So you know, um, it might help. Okay, so that's Daniel, and I was glad I finally got something, and he's still out there, and he's mummified. And I looked up what it takes to mummify somebody, and they said that the desert can do that, because you need dry, acrid kind of air with no moisture to do that to a body, and that's what it was. So okay, I'm gonna go off now. That was one thing. So I'm gonna make another video for the rest. Thank, bye, take care.